The Galactic Academy's orientation hall fell silent when Kaida walked in. She wasn't tall by human standards, barely 5'6", but every species in the room instinctively recoiled. The Veltorians withdrew their sensory tendrils. The crystalline Zepti dimmed their bioluminescence. Even the massive Krogan warriors, built like living tanks, shifted nervously in their reinforced seats. Kaida didn't notice. Or perhaps she'd simply grown accustomed to the fear. She found an empty row near the back, her worn military jacket a stark contrast to the pristine Academy uniforms surrounding her. Earth, humanity's cradle, had been officially designated a Class 12 Deathworld by the Galactic Council 3 cycles ago. The classification came after the incident at Station Meridian, where a single human child had survived vacuum exposure for 47 seconds and lived to tell about it. The xenobiology reports had spread like wildfire through civilized space. Humans healed from injuries that would kill most species. Their world teemed with megafauna predators, microscopic killers, and atmospheric conditions that shifted from frozen wasteland to scorching desert. Worst of all, they'd evolved as pursuit predators, creatures that hunted by simply refusing to stop. Kaida settled into her seat, ignoring the way the nearest students immediately relocated. She'd seen the orientation materials, knew the statistics. Out of 3,000 species in the Galactic Collective, humans ranked in the top 5 for cellular regeneration, pain tolerance, and something the reports called psychological resilience to trauma. The others called it insanity. Well, a voice drawled from the aisle. The Deathworlder graces us with her presence. Kaida looked up. A Sarkosian cadet stood before her, his 4 arms crossed over his chitinous chest. Sarkosians were apex predators from their own world, a Class 4, comfortable and safe. They'd ruled their planet for millennia, and their military traditions were legendary throughout the galaxy. His name was Vex Thor, according to the rank insignia on his uniform. Behind him stood 3 of his squad mates, all wearing the same cocky expression. "You lost?" Kaida asked, her voice flat. "Just wondering if they've designated a special hazard zone for you," Vex Thor said. Several nearby students chittered nervously, their species equivalent of laughter. "Wouldn't want you accidentally terrifying everyone during meal times." Kaida's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The Academy had been her dream since she'd learned about the Collective at age 12. Earth was new to the galactic stage, and humanity needed representatives who could bridge the gap between their savage world and civilized space. Vex Thor leaned closer. "I heard humans eat dead flesh. Literal corpses. Is that true, Deathworlder?" "It's called meat," Kaida said quietly. "And yeah." The Sarkosian's mandibles clicked in disgust. Then, deliberately, he reached out with one clawed hand and shoved her shoulder. "Maybe we should teach you some manners before." Kaida moved. Later, the security recordings would show it took exactly 1.3 seconds. Her hand snapped out, caught Vex Thor's wrist, and twisted. The Sarkosian's chitin cracked audibly as she rose from her seat, stepped inside his guard, and swept his legs. He hit the floor hard, air whooshing from his respiratory spiracles. Before his squad mates could react, Kaida had Vex Thor's upper arm locked behind his back at an angle Sarkosian joints weren't meant to bend. His shoulder assembly was seconds from catastrophic failure. "Don't," she said softly, meeting the eyes of the other cadets. They froze. "Touch me." The orientation hall had gone absolutely silent. 300 future officers watched as the human girl from the Deathworld held their most decorated combat cadet helpless on the floor. The doors burst open. Combat Instructor Relnath, a massive hiveborn with 8 heavily muscled limbs, stormed in. "What is the meaning?" Kaida released Vex Thor and stepped back, hands raised. "Self-defense, sir." Relnath looked at Vex Thor, who was struggling to stand, his right arm hanging useless. He looked at the recording sphere floating above, which had captured everything. Then he looked at Kaida, really looked at her, and saw what they'd all missed. The scars on her hands. The way she stood, balanced and ready. The absolute calm in her eyes despite every cadet in the room staring at her in horror. "Cadet Vexthor," Relnoth said, his voice echoing through the hall. "Report to medical. Then to my office." As Vexthor stumbled away, the instructor turned to address the assembly. But before he could draw breath to speak, every eye remained locked on the quiet girl from Earth. The Deathworlder who'd proven their nightmares true.